The Yellowstone universe has slowly grown into something much bigger than anyone expected. What started as one powerful story about land and legacy has now turned into a full family history, stretching across generations, emotions, and unforgettable moments. Every new chapter feels deeper, heavier, and more personal, pulling us closer to the Duttons and everything they stand for. 2025 was defined by not only the leftover of the Yellowstone finale, but also the highly expected 1923 Season 2 that basically made us fall in love with the entire franchise all over again. It felt like stepping back into a world we never truly left, a world filled with dust, danger, loyalty, and heartbreak. Every episode reminded us why this story matters so much. Naturally, there is a massive anticipation for other prequel series to be released already. Fans aren't just curious anymore. They're invested, emotional, and eager for what comes next. Thankfully, for once, Taylor Sheridan listens, as he has been working on not only 1944 right now, but also the series that will follow up next, 1969. That news alone sparked excitement everywhere, because each new timeline helps connect the puzzle pieces of the Dutton legacy. By 1969, the John Dutton we all know and love is about 10 years old, and that alone makes this prequel incredibly powerful. This is our front row seat to the childhood of one of the best ever characters of TV. We get to see how he connects with the land, what kind of relationship he has with his parents, and who actually raised him into the man we later meet in Yellowstone. More than that, this era lets us explore the first real generational tensions in the family, and that's exactly why this timeline feels so important. It has the potential to make the original Yellowstone series hit even harder, because we'll finally understand John Dutton on a much deeper, more emotional level. Personally, I find that incredibly exciting. And just because Spencer dies in this year doesn't mean he won't be part of the story. In fact, I think this may be the last time we ever get to see him. By 1969, he'd be well into his 80s. And that lines up perfectly with the legendary grandfather figure John talks about in Yellowstone, which means we could get these beautiful, emotional grandfather-grandson moments between Spencer and young John. I'm not even kidding. Just thinking about that already gets me emotional. But that's only half of what's coming, because Elizabeth is still very much part of this story. She's alive. She's out there. And there's every reason to believe she'll re-enter the Duttons' lives, and when she does, she will basically shake the Yellowstone Ranch to its core, as she is not the young, innocent Elizabeth we know from 1923 anymore. Time changes people. Pain changes people. And she may come back stronger, tougher, and ready to fight. Now, Elizabeth challenging Spencer's authority and fighting for her son's rightful claim to the ranch would instantly put John's inheritance into question. And just like that, we'd be witnessing the very first intra-family conflict in Dutton history. The original fracture, the moment that plants the seeds for everything we later see between Beth and Jamie. If you ask me, that's the foundation for a truly explosive showdown. And this actually ties back to something that confused a lot of us in the 1923 finale. You might remember that Kara didn't say a single word about Elizabeth's pregnancy when Elizabeth left the ranch. It felt strange, almost like something was missing. A lot of you guys wondered whether Elizabeth was still pregnant, or if we somehow missed a major detail. Thankfully, Michelle Randolph cleared that up in an interview and confirmed that yes, Elizabeth was still pregnant in that final scene. Even Michelle admitted she had to imagine what came next for Elizabeth, saying, "Elizabeth walks away pregnant." On top of all that, the year itself is kind of perfect for this story. As you probably know, 1969 was a turning point in American history. The country was deep in cultural upheaval with the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, and the rise of counterculture all happening at once. And while the Yellowstone Ranch is tucked away in Montana, there's no way the Dutton could remain untouched by changes that massive. The outside world would slowly creep in, whether they liked it or not. One popular theory is that John's father will be drafted into Vietnam, like so many young men at the time, and Spencer will be stepping in to help raise John makes complete sense. At the same time, the late 60s were a golden era for rodeo culture. There's a really strong chance we'd see young John thrown into that world early, learning what it truly means to be a cowboy. In a way, he'd be going through his own version of Jimmy's journey in Yellowstone, except at a much younger, more vulnerable stage of life. In terms of the casting, the eyes are still on Matthew McConaughey as the #1 name that Taylor wants to cast in this franchise. He is expected to play the part of John's father, the soldier who sacrifices his life in Vietnam. And honestly, I would have loved to see him in it. But let me know how you feel about this casting and who would you like to see cast as John Dutton himself. For more weekly updates on 1969 and other upcoming Yellowstone shows, make sure to like and follow. Meanwhile, the video on the screen might also interest you.